Welcome back to our two-part series on end-to-end setup of Amazon WorkSpaces pools with Okta. In this second video, we will complete the remaining steps to finalize the setup. We'll begin by working with AWS Identity and Access Management, or IAM. Specifically, we will set up an identity provider for the Okta application to use and a role containing the permissions that it will need. Then, we will finalize settings on the Okta application. Lastly, I will demonstrate logging into the WorkSpaces pool environment. Let's get started. The next portion of the steps pertains to AWS Identity and Access Management. It will be necessary to create a SAML identity provider and a role for the SAML identity provider to use. To begin, we'll need to use the metadata XML file that Okta has provided for the application that has been created. This can be accessed here under the Sign On tab of the application setup. Open the URL in a new tab, then right-select Save Page As. Make sure that this All Files option here under Save As Type is selected, and then type .xml to add this to the end of the file name. Save it. And now we'll go to the AWS IAM console. In the Identity Providers section, in a new tab, open Add Provider in the top right here. Leave it as SAML, and then enter a meaningful name. And upload the metadata that was just downloaded. Select Add Provider, and then select View Provider. Leave this tab open, as we'll need to come back to this in a subsequent step. The next step is to set up the IAM Role. In a separate tab, in the Roles portion of the IAM console, select the Create Role button. And under Trusted Entity Type, select SAML 2.0 Federation. And then select the identity provider that was just created. Don't choose either of the radio buttons here. In the attribute dropdown, select SAML subtype, and then type persistent, and select the orange Next button. We won't add any permissions policies here, so scroll past this and select Next at the bottom, and then enter a name and description. Scroll to the bottom and select Create Role. Then select View Role at the top right. With the role created, the next step is to add a permission policy. Select the Add Permissions menu, and then select Create Inline Policy. Select the JSON option, and then delete the default paste here, and instead paste the default value from the documentation here. It will look similar to this. This is a permissive policy, which allows this to connect to any region, which is this wildcard here, and any WorkSpaces pool, which is this wildcard here. You can make a more restrictive policy. This is just for a simple demonstration purpose. Scroll down and select Next, and enter a policy name. Then select Create Policy. Next, we need to make a small alteration to the trust relationship. Open the Trust Relationship tab and select the Edit Trust Policy option. We'll need to add the STS tag session action. Open a bracket here, space to lower it onto a new line, go to the end of the line, space again, and enter STS tag session. Then go to the end of the line, space one more time, close the bracket, then back it up a few spaces to line it up with the curly brace, and then enter a comma. This is now valid JSON with the additional action we need. Then select Update Policy. This concludes the configuration of the AWS IAM resources. With the resource configuration now complete, we're ready to finalize the Okta configuration and test the solution. In order to do this, we'll need a few values from the IAM console to construct one more attribute statement for the Okta application. Copy the ARN of the IAM role. The ARN is the Amazon resource name and is a canonical locator for the specific role. In a text editor, paste the ARN for the role, then enter a comma. In the IDP side of the console, you'll see the same icon to copy the ARN. Copy that, paste it at the end, and then copy this entire string. Back in the Okta console, select the General tab, scroll down to SAML settings, select Edit. Next, pass the first step, and then scroll back down to the attribute statements, select Add Another, paste the value that was just created, change the name format to URI reference, and then enter the name that ends in role in the documentation. Now, select Next, and select Finish. In order to test the application, it will need to be assigned to a user or group. For my purposes, I will assign it to one user by going to the Assignments tab, choosing Assign, choosing Assign to People, and choosing my specific test user. Then I will select Save and go back, and done. The last step is to test logging in to the WorkSpaces pool setup. From the directory details page of the WorkSpaces console, copy the registration code, and then paste the registration code into the Amazon WorkSpaces client and select Register. Then select Continue to sign into WorkSpaces. I've already logged my test user into Okta in this browser, so everything is seamless from here. And at this point, the user will be logged into the workspace, which is resuming from an auto stop position. After approximately 2 minutes, the workspace is logged in and ready for use. Thank you for watching our video series demonstrating end-to-end setup of Amazon WorkSpaces pools with Okta. I hope that you found this helpful. There are reference links in the description of the video to help with the steps where you need to copy and paste. And be sure to check out our other videos for more AWS end-user computing content.